Conservatorship exposed, Justin Timberlake defends Britney Spears, and Valkyrae traumatized by a visit to the hospital. All of that and a lot more, but first if you could do us a big favor and please tap that like button, we'd really appreciate it. And with that out of the way, let's begin the InformOverload weekly roundup.
So basically this conservatorship is doing me way more harm than good. I deserve to have a life. I've worked my whole life. I deserve to have a 2 to 3 year break and just, do what I want to do.
Following the audio of Britney's conservatorship hearing, her ex-boyfriend Justin Timberlake is now speaking out against her conservators. After her bombshell testimony, Justin tweeted out, "After what we saw today, we should all be supporting Britney at this time. Regardless of our past, good and bad, and no matter how long ago it was, what's happening to her is just not right. No woman should ever be restricted from making decisions about her own body." Later adding, "No one should ever be held against their will or ever have to ask permission to access everything they've worked so hard for. Jess and I send our love and our absolute support to Britney during this time. We hope the courts and her family make this right and let her live however she wants to live." This defense of Britney though is confusing to many after Justin became a target of the Free Britney movement following the release of the Framing Britney Spears documentary. The doc highlighted a lot of moments where he shamed her publicly by bragging about private things they did together while dating. So let us know in the chat right now if you think this is sincere, or do you think Justin is trying to just save face now that all of this info is coming out? And while you do that, I'm going to send it over to Mackenzie for some influencer news.
Thanks, Johnny. Next up, we got some streamer news. Valkyrae recently opened up about a health scare that left her traumatized. Rachel Valkyrae Hofstetter is one of streaming's biggest names, but after she canceled a stream because of a health scare, fans were very worried. She returned to streaming a day later, and before getting into the gameplay, she shared a story time about what happened. She recalled that she woke up at 5 a.m. with a sharp pain in her gut. She tried to wait it out, but it didn't go away, so she realized she needed to go to the hospital ASAP. After she was driven to the hospital by a colleague, she said, quote, "I was in the hospital for 6 hours, from 6 a.m. to 12 p.m. But this hospital experience was like a horror video game. They were packed. It was 6 a.m. They had so many people. There were people in beds outside of their rooms. After waiting, they finally checked her out and ruled out appendicitis. Next up, they thought it could be an ovarian cyst, so they did an ultrasound, which included a camera investigating her nether regions. After the traumatizing experience, in her words, her results came up normal, and she decided to not go back for her follow-up appointment because she was pretty sure everything was fine, and at that point it was just a money grab. But sadly, her long day wasn't over, and when she got back to her house, she forgot that her landlord told her that he was going to be showing the house that day, so she was lying in bed while strangers were walking around her room. But thankfully, she's all good now. However, she did say this scare made her realize that she needs to do a better job prioritizing her health, and I agree that's something we should all really spend more time doing. Back over to Johnny.
Thanks for those updates, Mackenzie. Alright folks, now let's move on to some feel-good news, shall we? A server at a New Hampshire restaurant got quite the surprise after a customer who only ordered a couple of hot dogs ended up leaving them a massive tip. According to the restaurant's owner, Michael Zarella, the check was only $37.93 before tip. He goes on to say, "It was on the credit card statement, they put it down next to the register, and he said 3 times, don't spend it all in one place." He said one staffer then flipped it over and looked, and she's like, "Oh my god, are you serious?" And he said, "I want you to have it, you guys worked hard." Immediately the owner thought that the man had made a mistake, but nope, he actually tipped, believe it or not, $16,000 on a bill under $40. And because he didn't really give any instructions as to what to do with the massive tip, it was all split up between the kitchen and the bar staff. Zarella goes on to say, "Everybody thought it might be a celebrity that was here, but it wasn't. It was just an average Joe. He gave the money and doesn't want any PR out of it. He doesn't want anything. I even tried to comp his meal last Saturday night and he said no." I mean, that's the kind of goodwill that we love to see. I do find it pretty cringe sometimes when people film themselves helping others or give their name so that others know they're a good person. I mean, we need more random acts of kindness because, during these tough times right now, especially if you were a server, that $16,000 tip would definitely make your year, that's for sure. With that though, let's send it over to the spill zone so that we can speak more freely about what's happening with Britney Spears right now.
Question, was that last one Mr. Beast, the guy in the video? Can we confirm or deny that it was Mr. Beast?
He's like, "Oh, I'm just some average guy." Good god. Now, did you listen to the full testimony that had come out yet?
I did. It was about 25-ish minutes, 20 to 25.
Yeah.
Crazy. Just the difference. When I first heard it, I was like, this isn't Britney. This isn't the Britney that I've heard my whole life. She sounded completely different. I mean, so, poised, and obviously she was speaking very fast because she was traumatized, trying to get it out there.
Yeah.
But I was shocked.
I thought she never sounded more like herself. Like, even those weird videos that we were seeing coming out, you could tell that something was wrong.
Those weren't real. Her TikToks are so strange. It's like, no, she looks like she has a gun held to her head when she's making these TikToks. Plus, and now we know that's true.
Yeah, and then on top top of that, there was all of this stuff coming out about her, I think it was her makeup or hair person that was saying that she was like doing private, she was trying to communicate with him privately. This is months ago, this is like 4 months ago. He had put out a thing saying that she was trying to find a way to stay in contact with him. And then when she said during that bombshell testimony that they literally took away her phone, her passport, her credit cards. This lady had no freedom. And then on top of that, like she said in it, she was paying for everyone's bills.
Yeah, she's employing hundreds of people.
How can you say that she needs to be controlled, yet her name is on the check? Like that boggles my mind. And then we wanted to talk about the Miley Cyrus and the Paris Hilton comments as well.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that?
I didn't directly hear the Miley Cyrus stuff, but it was crazy people seeing online how it was literally Miley Cyrus's Black Mirror episode. How she was this famous pop star who's being controlled by her aunt, I think, in the show. And it's just so crazy. It's the exact same thing.
It's a more extreme version, of course, because it's Black Mirror, but yeah, the parallels are very scary to witness. And what she said about Miley though was like, she's like, Miley's management is watching her like smoke weed on stage at the VMAs and they're not trying to do anything. And the point that she was trying to make was that this younger generation just can get away with anything, essentially.
Yeah.
You know, aside from being canceled for probably like, you know, past problematic behavior, like we saw with Billie Eilish, but like nobody's saying, oh, Billie Eilish needs to be locked up, take away all the rights. No one's saying that. They're just like, okay, she apologizes and we move on. So it's the double standards that we're seeing. It's
so crazy.
Really crazy. And the Paris Hilton comment too, I know a lot of people had a problem with her. They thought she was shading Paris Hilton.
Because she kind of just quickly said, oh, I didn't believe Paris Hilton a few times. And you're like, oh, so she's just kind of putting that out there, she didn't believe Paris Hilton. But clearly I think something was lost in translation. She was just basically saying that it's such an unbelievable story, no one believes it, but that's kind of what's happening to her.
That's what I took from it, was that she was coming from the perspective of just using Paris as an example that like, I'm in this crazy situation and I still didn't believe what was being put out in the media.
Even like Paris. This stuff happens every day. I think that's even the point. Like this stuff is happening really to big celebrities. That's really what I can't wrap my head around. You're Britney Spears, you can get the world listening to you if you go on Instagram Live, and you still are like trapped. You're in like this mental
prison. Now imagine
prison.
Someone who isn't Britney Spears that's trapped in a conservatorship.
Yeah, it's 400 times worse. Yeah, I can't even comprehend.
I couldn't even imagine. Like if you're Britney Spears and you're like, I have no voice, then somebody who's never been in the public eye definitely has no voice. But hopefully this will start to change some of the laws around conservatorships and maybe we will see that ripple effect going over the years. At least I hope, you know?
Yeah, because from what we heard, I mean, we don't know everything about her case, but from what we heard, that is not a person that needs to be, you know, under the care of others. She's completely sound mind to be taking care of her own life. If she can go up on a stage and perform a Las Vegas residency, she can pay her own bills and take care of it. It's crazy.
Nuts. Well, folks, that has been today's show. But before we get out of here, let's check out some of your comments from our last weekly roundup.
Anna Florence says, can we talk about how Trisha punched Moses and left a bruise? She shouldn't be able to get away with it.
I didn't hear about this. I saw people commenting that. Did you see?
This is an older one. I was kind of just surprised people were bringing it up now because this happened months ago when Trisha was more just well-liked in, you know what I mean? It is interesting to see the dichotomy when Trish was well-liked back in the day and no one was really talking about it, but now that they've getting canceled again. Anyway, but yes, I didn't watch that episode on Frenemies, but basically Trish fully admitted to getting in an argument with Moses and ended up punching him, and then there was a picture of a bruise leaked. I don't know who leaked it, and they discussed it, and so it is a thing that happened, and it's very concerning.
Perhaps we can do maybe a list of top 10 bad things you didn't know Trish Paytas did.
There's 300, literally.
There's 300, we'll do multiple parts. Michaela says, I'm here for a Johnny McKenzie podcast. I saw a lot of people were pretty psyched about a podcast.
We would love that. No, we talk literally all the time. We talk so much about this stuff.
It's just about finding the time, right? We got 3 videos a day, 7 days a week, and so it's just about finding the time to do that. But we'll get to it eventually when we can.
Definitely. Alex O says, there's an Onision documentary on Discovery Plus that just popped up as an ad on your video. What do you guys think?
Well, we're definitely not in control
about
of those.
that.
Yeah, I'm not in control of those ads, so.
Whoa, is it against him, I assume? Like exposing him?
I hope so.
I need to investigate that immediately. I will report back.
It's probably just because we've done Onision videos before, so you're just getting recommended. If you've watched any of our Onision content, then that's that ad targeting that we've spoken about before.
I'm just more like, there's a documentary. I wasn't even concerned about the ad thing. I was like, there's a documentary.
I'm like, what's going on here? Jared Bronstein says, I may not be in the video, but your boy is still in the comments section yelling, science!
We love to see it. No, I was gonna pull the, who's Jared Bronstein? Never heard of that, but you can't do that when he points it out in the comments.
Pepper.
He's there in spirit. Science! There you go, Jared. Then Sarah Loren said, P.S. Trish 100% said that they were trolling wasn't serious. Yeah, they did clarify that later.
Yeah, It's the back and forth that we just...
But you never know.
You really don't know anymore. But for now, guys, that has been today's show. Big thanks to Mackenzie Smith and our editing god Daniela for all of her hard work. I've been your host, Johnny Rogers.
And I'm Mackenzie Smith.
And until next time, stay classy, YouTube. Or at least try.
At least try. Love that.
According to the restaurant's owner, Michael Zarella, the chick. Jesus.
Alright.
And then slide.
Oh yeah.